So up next, as I said, we've got Ora Banda Mining Limited. Peter Nicholson is the Managing Director. Peter is a mining engineer with more than 25 years' experience in operational and mine management roles, as well as private equity investments. Prior to joining Ora Banda, Pete was the Managing Director of Australian Resource Capital Funds. He also held senior roles with Lionor and WMC. And I've also been told Pete is a keen squash player, having retired from an illustrious basketball career. And is it true you went to the Atlanta Olympics, Pete?
I think it's lucky my injury list is too long for the time frame rather than my sporting skills, Paul, but thank you for that.
Great. Well, welcome.
And look, thanks everyone for staying here to listen to the Ora Banda story. The Ora Banda operation is restarting the Davyhurst mine, which many will know has a long and checkered past, but we're very happy to be bringing it back into production and think there's a long future ahead of us. While I let you read this slide on the corporate strategy, I think it's important that we tell people what we're trying to do, because often it seems apparent to those within the business, but the market can often be unsure, judging by some of the phone calls from shareholders. So to be very clear, what we're doing is we're bringing the existing reserve on stream, and we're focused at the moment on finalising the commissioning and becoming profitable miners. We have an extraordinary land package, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and then we're looking to convert the cash flow that we generate into exploring that and adding opportunities. And then finally, once we're realising the value from the existing tenement, as always, we're happy to consider M&A of any sort, but the real priority for us is let's get the operations going efficiently, and then let's explore the tenement package that we have, because we have a very large land holding. I'm sure everyone's read that slide now, and I think the key takeaways from this is we do have a very good board. When Eastern Goldfields went into administration, there was a recapitalisation done, and some very experienced and quality people were brought on board to do this properly. I've only been on board for a couple of months, taking over from David Quinlivan, so very happy to be coming in on their coattails and joining the company with a great management team to take it forward from here. The slide you can see on the bottom left there, that's put together by Euroz Hartleys. Does show that compared to our peers, we seem to be valued on the low end, but we can talk about that and why we won't be staying there if we perform as we intend to. In terms of investment highlights, at the moment we have 3 operating mines. So we've got Golden Eagle underground mine, then we have the Riverina open pit, and we just started the Missouri open pit. All this rain has not been helpful for getting production out of the Missouri open pit. But hopefully that's behind us, and we'll start getting that. That's important to us because you may have seen we've been having some commissioning issues due to the oxide material coming out of the Riverina mine. It's had a high clay content. It's created issues in materials handling, both in terms of bogging up our screens and creating viscosity issues in the wet part of the plant. We have been saying that getting the right blend through would fix those issues. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but Missouri's key for us on that. But in terms of the 5-year reserve life, there's 6 operations, and often I hear that people talk about, it's not great when you're turning mines over quickly. So we'll talk about why we're not doing that as well on the next slide. But we've got a 470,000 ounce reserve, but that's sitting within a 2.2 million ounce resource. So for us, and we'll talk about this again, but the district scale exploration package we have gives us a lot of opportunity in terms of near mine, lower risk, but probably lower likelihood of outsized ounces. But then we've got some outstanding targets for true greenfields exploration where we can really make a step change for the business. So 1,350 square kilometres of tenements, so a very, very large land package. And the really exciting thing for me, and forgive the mining engineer talking about geology, but we've got the strike running along our tenements rather than across our tenements. So all of that ground has high prospectivity, not just small parts of it. There is, just a reminder for people, the DFS metrics, but I won't go into those. I think the market understands those and really wants to see what's next for us. So just quickly touching on the existing operations. As I said, 6 deposits. which sounds like a lot, but the reality is because we're mining multiple deposits, we have 4 of those open for multi-year periods. So it's not that we're in and out very quickly and running into issues in terms of trying to turn these things over. We're setting up bases of operation. At Riverina, we have built a new camp. There's plenty of exploration upside around that area as well. So if you look at the comments to that table there, you'll see that we only have 1 underground mine in the reserve, but all of the open cuts have underground resources associated with those. And you may have noticed that we put out an exploration announcement on Monday morning that finally got some assay results back on the Riverina Deeps, which is adding to that and making that look quite interesting. The exciting thing about that has been the width of some of those intercepts, which is much bigger than we were anticipating. So where are we? As I said, we've had a few commissioning issues. We don't hide away from that, but I think the important thing for us is that we can identify what the problems have been and we have a plan in place to deal with all of them. So up to the end of the financial year, and we poured our first gold in February, we'd produced just under 15,000 ounces of gold. The plant was recommissioned on time and on budget, but as I said, some commissioning issues. The first of those was viscosity. The oxide was creating materials handling issues through the wet part of the plant. We have now got sufficient primary blend into the feed and those issues have disappeared. So that issue is resolved. We are very confident that with the blend going forward, those won't be coming back to haunt us. So very happy to tick that one off. The underground operations, our underground contractor at the start, and we were going into existing underground mine, weren't performing, so that exacerbated the blending issue that we were having. But that now has also been resolved, and for the last 2 months of the last financial year, they materially outperformed their targets and were pretty much back on track in terms of DFS production. And last month have also been performing in line with forecasts. So that's another tick for us, and we'll talk a little bit more about Golden Eagle and what we're doing there on the coming slide. The feed grades, we have had slightly lower grade than we were anticipating. That's also been improving. There's a couple of factors within that. Obviously, when we restarted mining, everything we mined went to the plant, but we are mining faster than we are processing, so we now have low, medium and high-grade stockpiles and intentionally doing a program of maximising the grade through the plant. The Davyhurst plant's a 1.2 million tonne per annum plant, and we are crushing mill constrained. So the higher grade we can put through that plant, the more gold we're going to produce. We certainly have no issue keeping the mill full. It's all about grade into that, and we are very focused on that, both from our stockpiling strategy, but also our mining activities, and we are focusing on dilution control rather than just trying to shift BCM. Still within the plant, we were having issues with the oxide blinding up the screens. We have just a bit over a week ago replaced those screen panels with softer panels that have more self-cleaning properties, and that certainly seems to be making a step change for us. Too early to say if we're fully successful there, but we also have some very soft panels on order to make sure that we can deal with that. So again, something that's very frustrating operationally when you have to keep shutting down your circuit to clean the screens off, but a fix identified and in place, and some contingency coming on that. In terms of further moving forward, we needed a new tailings cell which is under construction, which is on time and moving nicely, and we've been struggling with assay turnaround, and so we do have a on-site assay preparation lab being constructed at the moment, so hopefully we'll be able to turn those around faster and get some exploration results out to market in a more timely fashion. But moving ahead, as I said, we've got the operation, we've got the 5-year mine life, but you know, what's after that? Where's the sizzle come from? So I'll start with Golden Eagle, and as I said, we've been mining Golden Eagle. It was started by somebody else and we've gone in there, and it had a relatively short mine life in the DFS. It's scheduled to finish in November of this year currently, but we have had a structural mapping program done there and have a new interpretation for the mineralisation, and currently we have a drill rig underground testing that interpretation, and we think there's a high probability of a mine life extension should we get the results we're anticipating. And importantly, I think the scale we'll step up. So again, forgive the mining engineer talking geology, but what we're seeing at Golden Eagle have ramifications for our exploration more regionally in that area, and so we're quite excited about testing that interpretation and seeing what can happen from the Golden Eagle drilling. In terms of other areas, I mentioned Riverina Deeps, so that was the announcement that we put out on Monday. We did have an underground mine design for the feasibility study on the underground operation at Riverina. It was determined to be not robust enough to go into the feasibility study, but we've been doing more drilling, and you can see that picture down there in the middle. So, that laser's not great, but that's the design that was put together, and we've been doing infill drilling to extend that and increase the ounces per vertical metre. As I said, we've seen some excellent widths coming out of that, which is very encouraging. But for me, as the mining engineer, what really excites me is that we haven't actually tested the North Chute properly at all yet, and that is the chute that actually drove the main pit down to its deepest. So I think there's quite a lot of work there to be done, and I would expect as we move forward that we will have an underground operation through the life of our mining at Ora Banda as we keep looking at these things. Other exploration, again, Sunraysia North, just released on that. So if we look over here, this is the Riverina operation currentently, British Line, which we talked about previously, but then moving down this trend, Sunraysia North. That drill program was really, an early first pass, expecting to maybe vector in on something, but some, quite exciting drill intercepts, economic in their own right. So we may very well be outlining a new deposit there in the short term. But the other exciting thing that we have is up here just to the north of Riverina, that dashed area. We discovered some geophysical work that was done previously that we didn't know existed, and it's identified a subcrop intrusion at that point. So in terms of what that means in the mineralised system, this area here is all covered with transported cover. It's never had a drill hole in it. And it looks like we might have the source of a lot of this fluid that's come up through the region. So a lot of work to be done there, and a lot of excitement around what that might mean for us as we go ahead. Another one that we haven't really talked about, and it's here saying early exploration success, but maybe that's a bit of a stretch, is the Iguana deposit. It's not been one that has been talked about a large amount. It has been plainted by someone, and so we've been going through a process on that, but we certainly have legal advice that makes us incredibly confident we will be the people that end up mining this deposit, and have been doing drilling and work on that. Again, earlier this year we put out an announcement on that. At this point in time, we've got 175,000 ounce resource that sits on that. And I go back to us being mill constrained. So we are on average producing 81,000 ounces per annum through the DFS. Now, recognising that's a resource, but even if you have that as a resource to reserve conversion, there's a very clear line of sight on a 12+ month extension to our mine life. But again, the really exciting thing for us is if you look at that graph, you can see that there's some really high grade material that would be coming out of that pit. And so for us, again, we are not constrained at the back end of our plant, just at the front end of our plant. So if we can get grade into that plant, our production profile should increase, which will make us more profitable. So very exciting things happening on that front. We have been, doing very well in terms of manning. You've heard a lot of people talk about staffing. We had some staffing issues as we move forward, but we have successfully now started 2 open cut mines, 1 underground mine. Feeling very comfortable about the opportunity to bring more of those production sources into operation as we need. As I said, they are all, other than the Golden Eagle underground mine, which we think will go for more than a year. There's only one other that's a short term in the reserve at the moment, and that's really so we can access the existing underground for more exploration work rather than seeing that as a main production centre at the moment. So we've got a team that's proven it can develop these operations. We've got a clear line of sight on 5 years, a very clear line of sight on extension to that, but then 1,350 square kilometres of ground that can take that further with some very exciting greenfields results. So looking forward to generating cash and putting that to work on the tenements. And as a summary, would say we've got a strong board, strong management team, and are very excited about the opportunities ahead for Ora Banda.
Great, thanks very much, Pete. We've got time for one question, if there's any question from the audience this afternoon for Peter. Great, because I've got one. Okay, so I was reading some really nice exploration results last week that you put out. I thought they were really nice. And obviously you're looking to do some more in-mine exploration expansion. What about any inorganic opportunities?
Any which, sorry?
Inorganic, so any M&A or anything like that,
Yeah, look, the benefit of having a really big tenement package and the only mill in the area is we become the logical mill for a lot of people. So there's a number of incremental add-ons that make sense. Absolutely happy for that to occur. But also, as I said, once we've got profitable production and our exploration fully underway with my private equity background, very open to anything else that might be around.
Right. Okay, please give Peter a warm thank you.